Hello everybody on YouTube and welcome to the 34th race of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the GEICO 500 here at Talladega Superspeedway as we are getting set for 29 laps of racing here at one of the biggest beasts in all of motorsports. And last time we were here, we had arguably the best race of the season. Can we get a repeat of that this time around? We're about to find out. And the front row, a bit of a repeat from last week. However, it's reversed. It's Melissa Alexander starting on the pole with her husband, Joey Parkhill, in second. But let's get the command to fire engines for the GEICO 500 at Talladega.
Drivers, start your engines.
All 40 drivers now on the racetrack for their one pace lap around here. So the rest of the top 10 in the starting lineup, from what I can tell, row 2 will comprise of Johnny Gardner, Dylan Young, row 3, Kyle Matthews, Cody Lamas, row 4, Zachary Fitzwater, Ryan Acosta, and then row 5, Michael Norman Motorsports teammates Michael Norman and Cole Deaver. So yes, as I pointed out, last time we were here at this track, earlier in the season, we had an excellent race. And if I can recall, I don't remember there being a caution out at any point in that race. So we could see history repeat itself here today, or because it's later in the season and drivers are getting more competitive to get as much points as they can to end their seasons on a high note, we might see a lot more aggression out of these drivers, since we are, after today, only 2 races left in the season. But quick recap of the top 3 in points, even though you had already seen it at the beginning of the video. But Dylan Jacobs grew his points lead to 21 points over Jay Jefferson and 38 over Matt McIntyre, and really grew it from everyone from 4th on back, as everybody from 4th on back are a little over 2 races behind in points. So it's almost certain, unless some drastic stuff happens here, as well as next week at Lime Rock, looks like the championship battle is going to come down between Dylan Jacobs, Jay Jefferson, and Matt McIntyre. And from where I can tell from the field and the starting lineup, looks like Jefferson's starting just outside the top 10, Dylan Jacobs around mid-pack, and then Matt McIntyre just a few cars behind the 78. Or actually like 1 car back behind the 78, but the pace car is pulling into pit road. 2 weeks in a row, a husband and wife couple starts on the front row. Can one of them actually win this race? We're about to find out, or will somebody else get it? And it's time to boogity 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 go racing. I think I saw the lead change 3 times on the first lap, but it was Seth Cole who was the lucky one to get the bonus point and lead that lap. And now, Ricky Carman now takes the top spot on the racetrack, as they are 3 wide for several rows deep from around 11th on back. And then behind the 51 of Ricky Carmen are Curtis McIntyre teammates Joshua Sekuli, Jonathan Zorline, but Zorline getting put up high, and Sekuli, like I said, 4th in points, and he came into this race 111 points out of the points lead, and he's trying to hope and pray that the top 3 in points ahead of him have a bad run, and he could get a good run, and he can kind of get back into the hunt, or at least closer to getting a chance at the championship. Because remember, Sekuli is our Season 4 champion, and he was trying to go for his second one, but right now, unless some miracles happen for him today, as well as Lime Rock, it may not be likely for Sekuli to get that second championship. Meanwhile, Chris Dollarton now up to the front with help from Jessica Sheldon, who's also getting help from 3rd in points, Matt McIntyre. As already a couple of the top drivers in the points are trying to get their way up through to the front, Matt McIntyre being the highest of the 3, Jay Jefferson being the one in the middle, and then Dylan Jacobs has fallen back to the back of the field. Maybe he's trying to play it safe for a little bit, that or he just got shuffled back there and now he's trying to recover. But Jessica Sheldon actually led that lap, and now currently James Shelley is the leader. And the 2 Rogers are battling it out for second. Zach on top, Jake on the bottom. And Jake is going to be the one to take advantage of everything by going to the bottom. And from what I can tell, the bottom lane goes about 2 miles per hour faster than the drivers in the middle or the top groove. But in this draft, everybody's going upwards of 200 miles an hour exactly right now. Some even going up to 202 on the straightaways. Jake Rogers led the lap, but now Alyssa Drayson finds herself up in the lead now. And I haven't really talked much about the Rookie of the Year battle, but I believe coming into this race, Ricky Carmen leads by 2 points in the rookie standings over Alyssa Drayson. However, I am going to announce this now. Starting in Season 8, we are not doing actual rookie points. The Rookie of the Year will be determined by who was the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. No longer with the system that we've had since the very beginning. But right now, Alyssa Drayson trying to get some of those rookie points, but now Hannah Klein is going to go to the bottom and take the lead for herself. And then right behind her is fellow rookie Henry Sanford, and then behind him is Caleb Kilburn in the 99. And whoa, Kilburn tried to go to the bottom, and Henry decided to block that move, but in turn that's going to help Henry take the race lead going into turn 3. So we're seeing already a repeat of what we had in this race earlier this season at this track, where we saw the lead shuffle for pretty much every single lap of the race. While Henry leads for now, Caleb Kilburn to the bottom to try and lead a lap, and it looks like he will lead this lap. But how about the guy second in line on the bottom, Rob Evans? Rob Evans comes into this race 16th in points, so he's been kind of faltering in some of the more recent races. And he has yet to go to victory lane in Marvel Studios Cup Series competition, but yet he's the defending series champion. But he has yet to get a victory to his credit. Could today be the day to finally knock off the win that has long eluded him? Same could be said for Rafael Leduc, who is still trying to keep a streak going of getting at least 1 win per season. Right now, it's not looking too good, as now the points leader, Dylan Jacobs, who was around dead last just a few laps ago, already working his way up to try and get the lead. Goes to show you that as long as you have friends behind you and you know how to pick your way up through the field, you can be last and then up to the lead within about 2 to 3 laps, depending on what line you're running and how you're getting through everybody. But Dylan Jacobs trying to extend his points lead even further, to the point where if he get extended big enough after Lime Rock, he could be the first driver in Marvel Studios Cup Series history, to my knowledge, to clinch the championship before the season even finishes. But right now, he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to try and go for that, as he's 21 points ahead of second place Jay Jefferson. And speaking of Jefferson, there he is, third car in line on the bottom, trying to work his way up to the front so he can lead some laps in hopes of closing that deficit on the 78 of Jacobs, who, by the way, Dylan Jacobs pulled off a tough victory last week at Richmond in what was an excellent short track battle with numerous drivers up until pit stops and a couple of cautions, and then he managed to pull away to a big lead to win the race at Richmond. Right now, Dylan Young, who's been moving his way up into the point standings quite a bit, and he's 13th in points, and he moved up 3 spots in the standings after Richmond, and is going to lead the lap here, but it's going to leave the bottom open for Seth Cole to come back and take the lead that he had at the beginning of the race. But yeah, Dylan Young, he's been quietly consistent over the past several races. In fact, Dylan Young's stats, while he's not won a race, he's had only 3 top 5 finishes, but 12 top 10s, tied for the third most, with Cole Deaver and Caleb Kilburn at 12. The guy who has the second most would be Jesse Turner at 13, and then a tie for the most between the top 2 in the standings, Dylan Jacobs and Jay Jefferson. Seth Cole trying to be the first driver so far today to lead multiple laps, and it looks like he will. So this is only the second lap he has led all race long, so right now he would be the one to get the most laps led bonus points because he's led 2, whereas we had a bunch of drivers lead only 1. But now the new leader is Jordan Forbes, who also has been quietly moving his way up in the standings. Even though he's still 23rd, he's been a little more consistent, but now here comes the pole sitter, Melissa Alexander, who's trying to lead a lap to get a bonus point she couldn't get at the beginning of the race. As meanwhile, it's mostly double wide for many rows deep, and then 3 wide towards the back, almost 4 wide, in fact, in a couple of different places. But Melissa Alexander left the bottom open for Carson Gum to take the lead. Carson Gum got to lead at the line, but now he's going to let Cody Lamas go by, and Lamas takes the lead for now. And it looks like all 3 of the championship 3 are in the back, or actually at least 2 of them. Jefferson and Dylan Jacobs have faltered to the back, whereas Matt McIntyre is trying to get his way up to the front, but he's stuck in the middle, but he's got Seth Cole right behind him. But yeah, Jefferson and Jacobs have fallen towards the back of the field, whereas McIntyre is trying to gain as much ground as he possibly can. Cody Lama is a little bit of a gap between himself and second place, which is typically not good, and it's definitely showing as while he led that lap, Cole Baker, who had a full head of steam on the bottom, is going to take the lead for now. Quite a few Fords are right behind the 18. You have Jesse Turner, Alyssa Drayson, and Benjamin Miles, but they kind of split up a little bit as Miles stuck it to the bottom. Miles, who has been on such a bad luck streak over the past several races, finally broke that streak by getting a top 10 last week at Richmond, and he's looking to keep his momentum going in what is possibly his farewell season in the Marvel Studios Cup Series, or at least a hiatus. Typically, nobody ever truly retires from the series. They'll just mostly take hiatuses and perhaps come back at a later time. It could be the case for Benjamin Miles, for sure. As right now, he currently leads the field here at Talladega. Right behind him, however, is James Qualls, who has a win to his credit this season, and I can't remember where it was. I want to say he won back at Twin Ring Motegi. Not entirely sure about that. I'd have to go back and revisit some past races to find out what all had happened. But regardless, James Quall's trying to go for win number 2, but he left the bottom open for Caleb Kilburn to get up here to take the lead. And I think this is his second lap lead all race long. But now he leaves the bottom open for Zach Rogers to get to the lead. The lead shuffled every single lap, and from what I've seen, only 2 drivers have led 2 laps, Caleb Kilburn and Seth Cole, whereas the other people who have had the lead have led only 1 lap. While Zach Rogers has the spot for now, here comes Artur Castanha to get to the lead. And these drivers, while they've been racing in a crazy fashion of double to 3 wide action throughout much of the field, they have been racing each other very, very clean. So this is almost exactly what we saw in the first Dega race earlier this season. And we're just seeing it again, which is absolutely fantastic to watch. Meanwhile, Clint Spillman, who had an unfortunate accident last week at Richmond that tore his engine up, he's back this week and back with a vengeance as he's currently leading the field. But he left the bottom open, and here comes Rob Evans to get to the lead. My advice to these drivers, once the laps start winding down and we get closer to the end, probably with about 3 to 4 or 2 to 3 laps to go, that would be when I would expect some of these drivers to really start blocking and pushing the limits. Jessica Sheldon leads this lap, and she's now only the 3rd driver this race to lead more than 1 lap so far today, and now she hands the lead over to Julia Katrine in what is definitely her final season in Marvel Studios Cup Series competition for sure. But in turn, she leaves the bottom open for Johnny Gardner to get to the lead, and he hasn't been up here at the front all race long. And now he finds himself up at the front. But I'm just amazed to see how well all of these drivers are racing the track right now. Racing each other hard, but racing each other clean. Dylan Young leads this lap, and I'm not sure if he led a lap earlier in the race or not. But if he did, now he'd be the 4th driver to lead 2 laps in this race. Nonetheless, Dylan Young trying to keep his momentum going that he's been building over the past several races, but now leaves the bottom open for Kyle Matthews. And Kyle Matthews is still searching for not only a win, but at the bare minimum a top 5, as he's still the only driver this season to yet to get a top 5 finish. Almost left at the line, but it was Melissa Alexander, so she finally leads a lap here at Talladega today after starting on the pole. Right behind her is Jordan Forbes, with Michael Norman to follow suit, as drivers continue to swap spots all over the place, and Jordan Forbes going to dart to the bottom and take the lead back. And I believe he may have led a lap earlier, or at least led at one point, but not the actual lap. Right now, Jordan Forbes up here in the race lead, and now I see Dylan Jacobs, the points leader, back up here towards the front. And Matt McIntyre trying to work his way up here as well, whereas Jay Jefferson trying to see where he is. Looks like towards the back of the field? Yeah, he is around like in the middle line in the back. I think he's, in the very back of the field is Jefferson, whereas up here, up towards the front, Jacobs and McIntyre are going at it. Zachary Fitzwater now to the lead, and Fitzwater, he's been pretty much top 10 in points most of the season, but currently 11th in the standings. Sits at 3 wins, and he's looking to tie Jay Jefferson this season at 4. But he's going to have a lot of work to do if he's going to make that dream a reality. And speaking of dreams, here comes Matt McIntyre, who is right now the highest of the championship 3 on track right now to the lead, whereas Jacobs, third car in line on the outside, Jay Jefferson, second to last car in line in the middle towards the back of the field. McIntyre went up to go block Fitzwater, but in turn left room for Joshua Sekuli to get to the lead again. Things are getting pretty dicey up here at the front as we've got less than 10 laps to go, getting down to the wire here at Talladega. Sekuli hanging on for now in the lead, and I believe he led a lap earlier, so he will also get to lead a second lap. But nonetheless, leaving the bottom open for Jesse Turner to make a move to get to the race lead for himself. Jesse Turner, who's starting to turn a corner again and trying to move his way back up in the point standings, even though virtually his championship hopes are dashed. He can still perhaps get a top 5 points finish at the end of the season in his rookie season. Charles Sanford, who won the Daytona 500 at the start of the season, was the leader for a moment, but now Alyssa Drayson gets back to the front. But Alyssa didn't block the move that Cole Baker and James Shelley are making, as them two teammates from Backmarker Motorsports working together for now. Baker led that lap, but now Shelley feels it's go time to go to the front for himself. Almost 4 wide around the 13th on back, it looked like. Shelley leading for now, but both 2 cars darting to the bottom, Jake Rogers and Seth Cole working together, and they're going to go to the front now. I see Dylan Jacobs has fallen to the back of the field again. Jay Jefferson trying to work his way back up. Whereas Matt McIntyre, let's see where he is. He also is riding in the back as well. Seth Cole led that lap, and that is his 3rd lap led. So currently he would definitely get the most laps led bonus points with leading 3 of the 23 laps that we have run so far in this race. Caleb Kilburn leads for now, but Rafael LeDuc, who's been moving up and down the field pretty much all race long, and now he's going to go to the front. But if he can try and block the move that Henry Sanford might pull, he'll get a bonus point for leading a lap, but he got a little tight off of turn 4, slid up and left room for Henry Sanford to go by. And Henry Sanford has Artur Castanha pushing him, as it's now 5 laps to go here in the GEICO 500. Sanford led at the line, but Castanha takes the lead for himself. Jay Jefferson, I see about the 8th car in line on the bottom. He's trying to make a stride to get up to the front so he can get so many more points than the 78 would. Or could perhaps Jay Jefferson be playing possum and try and sweep his way up through the front and get that record-breaking 5th win of the season? He's in a good position to make it happen. As long as he stays on the bottom, he'll be in good shape. And meanwhile, new leader Joey Parkhill, who started 2nd in this race, nearly won at Richmond last week, looking for a little bit of redemption. Currently in the front runner of the track, is the front runner of the track, I should say. And actually did a pretty solid job of blocking the inside line to be able to keep the position for now. But when we come to the line, it's going to be 3 laps to go, and whoa, Parkhill moving up and is letting Carson Gum go by. Meanwhile, Zach Rogers, Julia Katrine are right behind Carson, And now Zach Rogers leaves the 19 hanging, and he's going to take the lead, as it's now 3 wide for many rows deep now. As we're getting down to the wire to try and finish off our final restrictor plate race of the season. And look at Jay Jefferson, second in points, now second in line, now going to go for the lead. Now he's going to have to really block and not let anybody go by. Because remember, if he wins this race, this would be the record-breaking 5th win in a single season for a driver in Marvel Studios Cup competition. But he did not block Hannah Klein. Hannah Klein to the bottom. Matt McIntyre working his way back up through the field, as he's now 3rd in line on the bottom. Hannah Klein led at the line, but now, with 2 laps to go, Jordan Forbes now takes the lead, and 3rd in points, Matt McIntyre is in the picture. And Dylan Jacobs, who just about 2 laps ago was around dead last, and now he's about the 9th car in line on the bottom. Still anybody's race here up towards the front. Jordan Forbes blocks both lanes, both the top and the bottom. And Forbes is trying to get his first career win in Marvel Studios Cup competition. But right behind him, he's got 2 Michael Norman Motorsports teammates on his tail, Chris Dollarton and Michael Norman. And Norman leaves Dollarton hanging. Forbes, hanging on just barely, will lead at the line, but the white flag is out. And Michael Norman is going to get the move to take the lead, with help from Melissa Alexander in the 28. The field is shuffling still quite a good bit up here towards the front of the field. A couple of cars going to pull out of line. Raphael Fireblade, Dylan Jacobs going to the bottom, but Michael Norman still hanging on to the lead. And he knows how to get it done at these tracks. He's last season's Daytona 500 winner. Can he hold off everybody behind him? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Dylan Jacobs going to go to the bottom to try to get to second, but it looks like it's going to be all Michael Norman. Checkered flag waving. Michael Norman wins the GEICO 500 at Talladega. Another fantastic race here at Talladega. No cautions, no big one. All great racing, clean racing, and it was fantastic. Michael Norman, that I believe is his 2nd win this season. Great job by that 3 team. Unbelievable race this was. Just like last time we came here to Talladega, we had a fantastic race. And we just had another one, and Michael Norman scores the big W. But let's look at the rest of the results. Dylan Jacobs, man, if he had made a move sooner on the 52 of Raphael Fireblade and then got help to get to Michael Norman, it might have been a photo finish, but still, great run in second as he's getting closer and closer to trying to win his 2nd championship. Charles Sanford nearly gets another win on a restrictor plate track, finishing in 3rd. Raphael Fireblade, the highest finishing rookie, in 4th. And then Jonathan Zorline rounding out the top 5 in the 5th position. Chris Dollarton with a solid performance in the 6th position. Jesse Turner, solid run in 7th. Cole Baker, great run in 8th. Melissa Alexander, solid performance in 9th. And then rounding out the top 10 was Ryan Acosta. Then there is your top 20, your top 30, and then the bottom 5 for this week. Jay Jefferson, that's going to be huge in terms of the championship battle. Cody Lamas, Zach Rogers, Julia Katrine, and Joey Parkhill, but no drivers out of the race. All 40 drivers finished this race with no damage, which is fantastic as you're watching Michael Norman celebrate with his victory burnout. Thank you for watching Talladega. 2 races left to go this season. Next up, it's Lime Rock before we end out at Kansas. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Lime Rock. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.